Okay, so I'm going to start, if I may, at 6:45 on the dot. So my name is Marg Middleton, and on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Scarborough Community Renewal Organization, I'd like to welcome you here this evening. At Scarborough, we're really committed to working collaboratively through action and advocacy to connect, promote, and renew Scarborough. One of the platforms we use to do that is the Our Scarborough presentations. March 8th this year is International Women's Day tonight. So tonight we thought we'd highlight one of Scarborough's really successful women's.
Oops.
I'd like to introduce Lana Durst. Are you okay? Am I good to keep going?
Yeah, but you froze for a second.
I froze? Oh,
yep.
Okay. Lana is a certified public accountant, passionate about financial literacy and the role it plays in the health and well-beings of individuals and society. Lana worked for 16 years at Manulife Financial in a number of positions. In her last 2 years there, she was the Assistant VP of Treasury, Cash Operations, and Bank Relations. In her last 5 years, Lana has used her skill set on numerous board positions and teaching at Centennial College. As a co-chair of the Scarborough Women of Philanthropy, we'd like to welcome her this evening to share information about that group. So Lana, you're on.
Okay, thanks, Marg. And if we have technical difficulties again, take solace in knowing even the Golden Globes had issues. Can you hear me okay?
Not really, you're breaking up. It's very choppy, your voice.
I think there might be a delay in my talking, so I'm just going to try. Okay, I'm going to try from my phone.
Lana, if you turn off the video.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to try joining from my phone to see if it's better.
Oh, Marge, you're on mute.
Okay, sure, I'll try. Hang on.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good. Just might not be able to see me. So just before I start, I want to say that since I'm addressing the Scarborough Community Revitalization Organization, I'm not a Scarborough native. I'm not born and raised here. I'm from a small town in Northern Ontario, as is my husband. But I worked downtown Toronto and my husband worked in Pickering. So Scarborough was the logical choice for us when it came to buying a home and thinking about starting a family. We had no preconceived notions at all about what Scarborough was. We just knew it was good commuting downtown into Pickering. We could buy a home with a yard. We wanted to raise children in a place where they could ride their bikes on the streets, and Scarborough was perfect. That being said, I would say for many, many years, Scarborough was our mailing address, but maybe not our home. And what I mean by that is I was one of the many thousands in Scarborough who commuted daily downtown, either on the GO train or with eyes partly closed down Kingston Road every morning. And I wasn't living in Scarborough. Between raising children, young children, and working downtown, everything centered around downtown or my immediate neighborhood. And growing up in a small town, I recognize that that's not the way to have a good community. And it wasn't really until we had children that we really truly started to appreciate Scarborough for what it is. The community centers, the outdoor rinks, the churches, the schools, the parks. And they really opened our eyes to that, but it made me realize and remember what it felt like growing up in a small town where the hospital is, you don't have a choice. The hospital is your hospital. The high school is your high school. And I became very aware of the fact that this is the community my children are growing up in. they will someday be volunteering in, working in, going to school in. And if I want this to be a great community, I need to live in it and I need to participate in it. And so part of what I spend my time doing is advocating to my friends, to people in my neighborhood, saying you have to be involved in a community to make it work. We don't want to send our children to schools outside of our community. We don't want people going to doctors downtown or hospitals downtown. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you want nice restaurants in Scarborough, eat at nice restaurants in Scarborough. So that's why I'm passionate about volunteering. And when it comes to volunteering for a hospital, to me personally, there truly is a different feel to our Scarborough hospitals than to a downtown teaching hospital. The Scarborough Health Network truly feels like a community health hospital. And when you feel that way, when you feel like it's my hospital, then I have an accountability to make it the best I can and do anything I can to advocate for that hospital. As a mom and a neighbor in Scarborough, I want the best doctors, I want the best hospitals. And from every personal experience I have with Scarborough Health Network, I have nothing but positive things to say about the doctors, the nurses, the administration, the foundation. And so what a joy it is to be part of the Scarborough Women of Philanthropy, just a small group of women. We all live in Scarborough, and we share this common goal that we want great healthcare in our community, and we'll do whatever we can to support it. Unlike some foundation councils, we focus all of our energy on just one event a year, and it's called Sip, Shop, and Celebrate Women. Typically, it's held at the Guild Inn, and we've drawn up to 500 guests to this annual event. Last year, we had to do a quick pivot and change our event to a virtual event, but that didn't stop us. We still managed to raise over $50,000 in one night, all for the Scarborough Health Network. We had 200 guests join us virtually. It was a fantastic evening. And in keeping with that theme, we're going ahead with a virtual event again in 2021. But with the lessons we learned last year, we're even more excited and setting even more lofty goals for it. Do you want me to keep going, Marg? Because I could talk forever. I don't know how much time I have.
Marg, you're muted.
Sorry, Lana, you have about 5 more minutes.
Okay. So yeah, I just have to say, I mean, I've been involved in lots of different volunteer organizations, but when it comes to truly what I'm passionate about, public education and public health, those are the foundations to every community. And we're so fortunate to have our own Scarborough Hospital. We just have to make the most of that, and everything we can do to give back to it is great. You know, like too many other people who live in Scarborough, or sorry, have a mailing address in Scarborough, but live elsewhere, meaning they're family doctors downtown, they're having their babies at hospitals downtown, they're shopping downtown, they're working downtown. I say to them, think carefully about what it means to be a part of a community. And, you know, the best way to learn about a community, to become involved in a community, to make it your own, is through volunteering. So our next week is our first kickoff meeting of 2021 for the Scarborough Women of Philanthropy. I'll get Marg to type in the chat maybe later my email address, either one, lanaclairedurst@gmail.com or lana.durst@yahoo.com. And if anyone's interested in joining our council, you know, our event is not exclusive to women, but our group is all women. And I think what makes it work is that we're able to put aside, we have this common bond. We're coming from Most of us are either mothers or daughters or sisters of Scarborough people, and we're committed to having good quality, accessible healthcare in our community. And we've learned that there's something special about our group, that when we come together, we bring out a power that's in each of us individually, and we're able to pull off this one once a year event, and not just succeed in fundraising, but we succeed in drawing awareness to all the great resources at our hospitals, and the awareness of why fundraising is important at our hospitals. And we also have a ton of fun. And from my experience, there's nothing like a network of women to support you, to build you up. And we prove it year and year again. Does anyone have any questions for me?
You're still muted, Mark.
Lana, what's the date for your virtual event this year?
This year it's November 18th, Thursday, November 18th.
Hi there.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I'm Pashmina. And what is the event that you were referring? Can you please share a little bit about it?
Sure. So in the past, we call it Sip, Shop, and Celebrate Women. It's not an event exclusively for women. The word Celebrate Women is really, we take it as an opportunity to celebrate what women can do when they come together for a common cause. In past years, it's been held at the Guild Inn, and we've accommodated 400 or 500 guests. We have a silent auction, a live auction, local vendors that we can shop from, and it's really just an evening of celebration. In 2020, we converted to a Girls' Night In edition by holding it virtually using a Zoom platform. We still had a silent auction. It was all online. We had some fabulous and entertaining guest speakers. We had a celebrity host, Liz West, so many volunteers that just made it a fun and interesting night in. And this year we're excited to do the same, only maybe up it a little, because we've learned so much from the technology and from our silent auction platform. We're going to have new guests, new silent auction prizes, and a little special treat for VIP guests, which is a swag bag of goodies delivered to your home prior to the night in. So it's all taking place.
Lana, I'm going to have to
Cut me off?
I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. Please stay on if
I
you want to
will.
stay on, of course. I'm also a woman of philanthropy, and I just have to echo what Lana said. If you want to have fun and you want to have some laughs with a group of women, put a bunch of women in a room and they all talk at the same time and they all have ideas at the same time. And just come and join us. You can do as little or as much as you want. Anyway, with that, I'll say, Lana, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. I'm thinking a lot of people didn't know about it, but maybe we'll have some new people join us this year.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to come to that meeting. You won't be tasked with a million. You can just come and sit in the first meeting. You don't have to make a huge commitment. Everyone is welcome. Great.
Thank you so much. So thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So at this, before I introduce our next speaker, I'm just going to ask everybody to please mute. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Our next speaker tonight is Elizabeth Buller, President and CEO of the Scarborough Health Network. Liz has 30 years of healthcare experience in Ontario and BC. She's a registered nurse and has served in incremental senior leadership positions for the last 25 years. Liz came to Scarborough in 2017 to become president and CEO of what is now called the Scarborough Health Network. Scarborough Health Network is Ontario's third largest community hospital and Scarborough's biggest employer. Prior to coming here, Liz was president and CEO of St. Joseph's Health Centre, where she was instrumental in the voluntary merger of 3 hospitals to create Unity Health Toronto. In 2019, Liz was recognized by the Women's Executive Network as one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. I'm sure when Liz came to Scarborough to become president of an amalgamation of 3 hospitals, she knew it would be both exciting and challenging. I'm not sure if she expected her hospital and staff would be battling a pandemic 2.5 years later. Our community has been really hard hit with COVID-19, and Scarborough Health Network is on the front lines of keeping our community safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Liz Buller.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for that very, very kind introduction. And you are absolutely right. I would have never anticipated a pandemic. Fortunately, they only come predictably about every 100 years. I can't say as much as it's challenging as it's been, we actually have found some silver linings throughout the pandemic, as we're prone to do in Scarborough, being such a resilient community. And one of the biggest has been just how the community has come together in so many ways to support one another, but also to support Scarborough Health Network, whether it's been through homemade masks, other forms of PPE, meals, and supporting our staff, just so many different ways. We've been so blessed and so fortunate and found new ways to work together despite the stress and also some of the devastation that has happened in our community. But it is a privilege and a pleasure to serve as Scarborough Health Network's president and CEO. And it's a real privilege to be here with all of you this evening. Great to see so many familiar faces, actually. And thank you too for our elected officials who I see here this evening, who are also such great supporters of Scarborough Health Network. Also just wanted to say thank you, Lana. A hard act to follow. That your enthusiasm is fantastic. I wasn't sure how the Sip and Shop fundraiser would work this past year, and I have to say, having participated, it was a great lot of fun. Amazing work that all went in behind the scenes that people don't know, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming one. And you made a comment about how much as a community advocating to support having healthcare and great healthcare in your community. And we're so thankful for that. And we see that as our role too, to be advocating in reverse, as making sure we're advocating as our healthcare leadership role to be ensuring that we're giving and getting the very, very best for the community as well. So thank you. We can't do a lot of what we do without all of you, all the volunteers that we have in so many different capacities. And in the coming weeks, I don't want to steal the thunder of our incredible foundation, of which our new foundation vice president is also here on the call tonight. We are kicking off a $100 million campaign that we've been doing quietly for the past year in the background. And we actually have raised over $40 million, which is unheard of for Scarborough, so close. And as we kick it off formally with much ado, which we want to do as we shift away from this pandemic, as more vaccine gets out into our community, we'll be so excited to make sure we're engaging all of you in that as well. Before I start with my presentation, I just wanted to introduce two of my colleagues who are here with us tonight. Glyn Boatswain, who you'll hear from, is our interim chief nurse executive and vice president of clinical programs, and David Bellis, who many of you already know. He's the chief of strategic partnerships and public engagement. All three of us will be here to answer questions. We'll take a bit of time to go through a bit of a presentation, but we really want to be here to answer your questions as well. SCRO has a special place in my heart. It is one of the very first organizations that reached out to me to speak to SCRO when I first became CEO at Scarborough Health Network. It was then our pre-counselor, Jennifer McKelvey, who was president of SCRO. And it was at that time that we were talking about and planning for the future of Scarborough as we look. We know we need to build new hospitals into our next 100 years. And Jennifer asked that we speak to that. And the last time I met was at our general hospital site where we shared our strategic plan and our new branding in our auditorium. There was over 100 people there that weekend morning. Great dialogue and discussion. Seems like a whole other time of life when we could get together and have a cup of coffee and share a croissant or whatever the bread of the day was, and hoping and looking forward to getting back there in the coming months. So I think what I'll do now is just share the agenda with you that we have here tonight. I'll go over sort of our current state and our vaccines and where we're at. And then Glenn will really get into the meat of it, because the truth of the matter is I'm kind of like the parsley on the fish, you know, a bit decorative, but not really much value. The fish is Glenn, and she's got all the everything behind her. She's led everything that we have, setting up our assessment centers, our vaccine clinics. She can tell you right now tonight how many doses of vaccine that we have in our freezer, how many days we have until they run out, and the entire plan of how it's working for Scarborough and how we're advocating and ensuring we're going to have more for the future. So I know my place in this. So I'm going to share what I do know, turn it over to the expert, and then we'll take time for questions and answers. So I'm actually looking at my own screen, and David is managing your screen. So I'm hoping we're in sync. And I'm hoping right now we have the City of Toronto case map up in front of you. This is an interesting map produced by Public Health, and it shows where COVID is throughout the GTA. And it's a map that shows cases per 100,000 population. And you'll see where Scarborough is. It goes from light to dark. And where Scarborough is, we are in the darkest setting and have about 500 plus cases per 100,000. So the highest impact throughout the province has been in Scarborough and the northwest of Toronto. Our partners in Peel and Mississauga, Brampton Civic specifically, Trillium Health Partners have also carried a significant burden of COVID in the city with very high numbers. However, through the majority of the past year, and it's hard to believe it has been a 1-year anniversary, and it's since we officially named the pandemic, Scarborough has had a significant burden, and we know that that's because of the design of Scarborough, how we come together. A lot of it is we have many essential workers who work in industries, in our hospitals, in retail, long-term care homes, in transit, and work multiple jobs. We have multi-generational households, high density buildings that just by the very nature can cause a higher, more readily spread of COVID. We also know that just our diversity and our cultural experiences have impacted us of concerns around testing and or getting vaccinated. And we're working on that in particular with our BIPOC populations, our Indigenous, our Black and refugee and undocumented populations, and also just some of the confusing information that's out there. People aren't sure what to believe or where to go and what to do. And we're working with our community agencies to try to improve that for everyone. We're working with local populations. So with the Black population, with the Indigenous population, how do we really meet the needs of local communities of how they need information versus how we think you should all have information, which we know isn't the same for everybody. And we're making good progress there, but that's some of what we're experiencing in Scarborough. With somebody, David, I'm going to ask you to monitor if people are trying to ask questions. I can hear someone, but I'm not sure if it's a question or just not on mute. Okay, I'll keep going. This next slide is what we look at every single day, and it's our dashboard in-house. We look at it every morning and every afternoon so that we can see what's happening in our hospital. What are we seeing with respect to new admissions? What are we seeing with respect to admissions in our hospital? And the impact, so we can manage things like booking surgeries, if we have to cancel things, if we have to rearrange our units, and just managing our staffing resources as well, and trying to anticipate this. This is going on a constant basis. And if you look at the top graph, that's in February, and actually things were starting to get better. So that's not even our worst case scenario, but you can see our total COVID patients, those are patients in the hospital with COVID positive, were 72. We had 62 that were recovering from COVID. So actually it's almost 140 patients, COVID patients. And then on any given day, about 175 patients that are what we call PUI, or patients under investigation. But they have to be treated as patients who are positive until we know otherwise. So they too still have to be in isolation. So close to 300 to 350 patients on any given day that have to be isolated. The number below that shows our new admissions each day. The number to the right of that shows how many units in our hospitals are on outbreak. And that means we can't accept any new admissions because we've had more than 1 to 2 positive cases that are related. And so we have to close the unit to new admissions until we can make sure it's safe for that. The lower chart shows our current environment just this past week, and you can see how well the numbers have improved and are continuing to improve. But we're keeping our eye on this because while our numbers are stable, we know we have new covariants out there, and we have to keep an eye on that. Overall, we've treated about 1,700 COVID patients. We've performed over 180,000 tests in our assessment centers, and over 200,000 tests in our lab. And that's because we combined the tests from the emergency departments and the assessment centers in our lab. One of the things that's important to note, and where I say Scarborough has been hit harder, 11% of the entire provincial population, 11% of the hospitalizations have been patients in Scarborough, and almost 10% of all of the patients requiring ICU have been in Scarborough. And that's a significant impact, more than others have experienced. This next slide is just a different way of expressing what I've shared in the previous slide, but it's just the impact of COVID on our racialized communities. And this is in relation to Toronto, but we are able to really mirror it into Scarborough. 9% of the population in Toronto is a Black population, and they have had over 20% of the burden of COVID. And you can see the high percentage in our South Asian or Canadian population and our Southeast Asian, all in 17 and over 20%, compared to our Caucasian or white population, which is about 50% of the population and only experiencing about 17% COVID positive. So really a need to look at Scarborough, what's happening, and make sure, and what we're doing on a constant basis is advocating for how we can get our population in Scarborough vaccinated and supported as quickly as possible, but also reaching out to communities that don't necessarily trust the information and making sure we can give them the right information that they need in order to make the best decisions. The next slide is a trend in Scarborough. So as I said, fortunately, we're seeing Scarborough community cases. They are decreasing. Our COVID admissions are decreasing in the past couple of weeks, and our assessment center positivity rate is decreasing. However, it is still high compared to the overall Toronto population, which is just under 3% today. We're still seeing that we're averaging about a 10% positive rate of COVID positive people in our community. And so we don't want to take our eye off the ball. We want to really continue to be safe, stay home, practice social distancing, wash our hands. I know it's getting hard and people are getting tired, but we are in the right direction. We want to keep going there. And I just want to encourage everybody to continue to practice those best safe practices, and also to thank everyone for all that you're doing in that regard. We know people feel isolated. We know people feel lonely. We know there are economic and mental health issues that go along with that. And we do have supports for that. I won't go into those this evening, but happy to have you reach out to us if you need direction for where tools are and information is in order to support people during this time of the pandemic. So this is just a summary of other things that we're doing. Scarborough Health Network, as I mentioned, really important for us to be supporting our community. And so early on, we reached out to our long-term care homes and retirement homes. We've been providing operational support, be it staffing, be it environmental service support or education, how to keep safe, and have had built great relationships with our long-term care homes to help them either avoid outbreaks and or quickly get out of outbreaks. And it's just been such a great partnership for us. And I believe they would say the same. We've also been working very closely with our schools, the Toronto District School Board, the Catholic School Board, and also our private and religious schools to help make them as safe as possible as they go into the different ways that they're providing care to students and also supporting the teachers. And our next slide is really just showing evidence of how we're currently supporting the schools, our assessment centers, our long-term care homes, and the impact of our pop-up centers as well. This slide, the next slide, is really just about viruses, just to remind you, and I've spoken to it already, how they are constantly changing. And we know this, and you all know this too. We know every year as we get the flu vaccine, some years it works better than others. And that's because we don't know quite the mutation that's ahead of us, but it's fairly predictable. And that's what we're learning with the COVID virus as well. We know it's changing, it's mutating. We're learning as we go. And it creates some confusion. I think we have to be kind and be patient with our scientists, our epidemiologists, our infectious disease specialists. I certainly am not any of those, but we'll try to make sure, and our commitment to our community is to make sure you've got the best information that we can give you and to help you understand that information and make the best decisions for yourself as we're walking through this pandemic together. We know these new variants will emerge and disappear. Others will persist. And we're going to have to, again, really rely on our experts on how we can best address and manage that. And right now we have good news that we have a third vaccine with AstraZeneca on the market coming close to us. And so we're hoping that we can actually ramp up our ability to provide vaccine through the 3 different vaccines that we have for our population in Scarborough. So maybe just some of the facts. As you know them, I just probably preaching to those who already know, the vaccines have been around for decades. It has been one of the greatest advances in modern medicine. And we know that vaccines help protect you. They help protect your family and your community. So anything we can do, if you hear or need more information, again, we want to be there to help build the trust, build confidence, address any complacencies or concerns, and trying to make sure we can make delivering the vaccine as convenient as possible for our community. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to take any questions at this point and or turn it over to Glyn. As I said, she really is the expert in this area as far as how our vaccine campaign is being rolled out, how we're supporting the community, where we're going to be supporting the community, what's ahead in the coming days and weeks, and can address questions after Glyn as well. So David, maybe I'll turn it to you. And
Great.
if there's nothing, turn it to Glyn.
Yep, let's pass it over to Glyn.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Liz, and thank you to the SCR committee for inviting us here from Scarborough Health Network to spend some time with you this evening. I think Liz has pointed out, and as Mark said, and in terms of the impact of COVID in our Scarborough communities. And our goal here, like we said, the vaccine is the light at the end of the tunnel. And our effort is through every avenue. I usually say to Liz is advocating even to the bus driver to try and get more vaccines into Scarborough. So our goal is, we've been planning for this for a while, knowing the impact. Like we said, we've started in terms of a priority because of the limited number of vaccine. We've had to, use a prioritization framework. We had to look and see in terms of priorities. And I think everyone around this group will know the impact that COVID has had on our long-term care residents. So those were our first group of individuals we look at vaccinating. So far, we were responsible for vaccinating 15 long-term care homes. And I can safely say we have completed 95% of both doses of the Moderna vaccine to our long-term care residents. So that's quite encouraging. I'll continue to vaccinate the staff in long-term care home and essential caregivers so that they're able to visit their loved ones. We've vaccinated staff at Scarborough Health Network, or staff in emergency department or in our critical care area who continue to have to care for our patients diagnosed with COVID. Yesterday was we started to vaccinate the shelters. And so that work is ongoing for the next 3 days. And over the next few days, we'll be looking at vaccinating congregate setting. And then we have a plan. And like Liz pointed out, David and I have been working closely with our First Nations population just to build trust. And so where we're going in to do testing, and then we'll move along with vaccine as we build the relationship. Next slide, please, David. We get from the ministry, we get our direction and our guidance. And I think our next phase will be our adults 80 years of age and older. And like we said, individuals living in congregate setting. And we'll continue to, as we said, advocate for more vaccine, because we really, like we said, the solution is to get needles and into individuals' arms, the general would like to say. So that's the work that's ongoing by our team, and continue to work diligently. Just some good news, just to say the advocacy and the commitment here in Scarborough. We formed a working group, and as of today, we have over 525 family physicians who have volunteered to be on the vaccination in terms of giving vaccines. And David, if you go to the next slide, I'd like to show you the planning that has gone on. We will be booking, I know the question might be, how can I get an appointment? Over the next week or so, we'll be launching an online booking tool so for folks who are eligible to start registering to be vaccinated. Next slide for me, please, David. So this is the work we've been doing in terms of planning for vaccine and knowing the impact. In terms of mass vaccination center, Toronto Public Health have announced they'll have 2 centers in here in Scarborough, the Scarborough Town Center and at the Malvern Recreation Center. But at Scarborough Health Network, we continue to work close with our Ontario Health partners and Toronto Public Health. We have planned and we have in place at University of Scarborough, Centennial College, and here we have a vaccination center at the Centenary Hospital that has been open since December 22nd. And as Liz pointed out, we've completed high number of vaccines there. And in other community clinics, we'll work with TIBU. As you know, TIBU advocate for Black population and Indigenous, really targeting our racialized population to encourage vaccination. Scarborough Center for Healthy Communities and Care First. But in addition, what we've done is to create mobile teams, as you know, to get into hard to reach place, where our residents may not be able to come to these massive vaccination centers, where we're able to get to them. So a number of mobile teams will be operating in Milliken, in Upper Rouge, Scarborough Village. So those are, I think there's about 16 of those mobile clinics that we'll be holding. Thank you, David. And this work, like we said, I wanted to point out the fight against the pandemic, I said, is Herculean. It takes like the village, it takes an entire team. And the commitment and the partnership, like I pointed out, that is the massive task we have ahead of us. But encouraging thing is that everyone is coming together, and it is really inspiring to see that everyone is really advocating, and we have the work to do, because like Liz would say, and our team here at Scarborough Health Work, our residents in Scarborough deserve this, and we have to do it. So we'll continue that work. Next slide for me, please, David. Just wanted to share a bit of a picture here. This is Centennial College, and this is the site that we are, it's turnkey. Just as soon as we have large amount of vaccine, we're able to open these sites. We have them prepared and ready. So like I said, the work is there, and we continue, we'll continue to advocate. Scarborough residents will continue to advocate, and we will speak to anyone who will speak to us that, that we need to get vaccine into the arms of our residents in Scarborough. So I thank you for the time, and I thank you for your continued commitment to us at Scarborough Health Network. Thank you.
Thank you both. That was a really informative presentation. And we're going to open it up for questions. I've got a few in the chat. And one of the questions already is, and I heard about this just the other day, and someone else has picked up on it, that many hospitals in Toronto are already doing pre-booking for seniors, but we don't think SHN has started. Can you tell us why or what the plan is for that?
Want to speak to that, Glenn?
Liz, you want to go first, or you'd like me to go?
You go right ahead.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I couldn't see you on the screen there for a minute, Liz. No, thank you. No, Mark, you're quite right. So, so what we've done, a number of those hospitals, so I reached out to them to see, we want to make sure that we're standardized. And I'll tell you, I spoke to North York and I spoke to Sunnybrook, and they said, we have 6,000 residents who have registered, pre-registered, and nowhere to go. The frustration is, now these folks are calling, so whereas what we'd like to do, we have the vaccine on hand. We want to, so you go, you register once. And when you register, you have an appointment for your vaccine. So we want to eliminate that, where you're pre-registering and just waiting. So that's the route we took.
Okay.
Thank you.
So one of the other questions, we know in some of the communities, there's been some uncertainty, and people are not sure that they really want to get a vaccine. Is there anything we could do to help with that?
Hi, Mark. Can I also expand that question? Because I also wanted to ask it.
Sure, Mitzi. Yeah. Hi, Mitzi.
Hi, Mark. Nice. This is a fabulous event. Can you, anyone of our speakers, if you could explain why there is hesitancy to begin with in certain communities, and what the challenges that needs to be overcome at this time to get everyone the vaccine that wants and needs it.
So maybe I'll start and I'll turn it over to Liz. So one of the things that we knew that there was going to be lack of confidence for the vaccine. So one of the things we eliminated was a community engagement team. And Mitzi, to your point, what we've done, we've engaged people like the Black Physician Association. We're working with Taibu, Force Nation. And I think the mistrust is there is historical. I think all of us know, we have, the Tuskegee syphilis, we have First Nations. So that distrust is there. So that's where we're starting from, starting to build that trust and starting to work with our key engagement partners to really demonstrate that, I know trust has to be built, but we're ensuring that we have a big open tent to bring everyone in and to listen. If the concerns are valid, and our role is to listen. And like Liz pointed out, have the experts give the information. All we can do is to give informed information so people can make that decision. And that is what we'll continue to do. Committed, absolutely committed to reaching out and committed to continue to engage. Liz?
I don't have anything to add, Glenn, except to say that that's where we're really reaching out to the community, the trusted leaders within the communities, and going to the communities where they are versus coming to us, to the hospital. So I think you have a session tomorrow with the Indigenous community, with the elders, to reach out to them. And as you've said, we've done several with the support of Taibu and the Black Physicians Association and others, and working with our South Asian community. So we're learning a lot as we go, Mitzi. It's really been eye-opening for many of us, and a great learning, but also a really great way for us learning to connect better to our community, because it won't just be for this. Hopefully that'll be helpful for many, other things ahead of us as well.
So today, of course, there's so much news, and vaccines are right at the top of the news. And of course, today we heard about Michael Guerin having extra vaccines there and inviting the public in to get shots. Does SHN have any extra vaccines, and are they planning on doing something like this?
Maybe I'll take that one, Marg. And Marg, I have to tell you, I had a meeting earlier today with all our hospital partners, and I did let Michael Guerin know when we don't do things, transparently, it looks like a bit of inequity. So Liz gave me that permission to say that, and I did.
Okay.
So yes, so just want to point it out, on Monday, we are doing a bit of a soft launch, what we call it, at the Centennial College. So we will be vaccinated, like we said, in terms of looking for the 500 physicians who are voluntary. We have to make sure that they're safe. And we've reached out to the family physicians. So the family physicians will be identifying a number of individuals 18 plus for us to do that soft launch, Mark. So that is what I will be doing at SHN.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just add a bit more information and context. We have been advocating for equitable distribution of vaccine for Scarborough since the day and ever we heard it was coming. And currently, that isn't the way it is being distributed throughout the province. It's being distributed equally. So Michael Guerin gets the same volume of vaccine that we get for Scarborough, and we're 3 times larger. And we have continued to advocate for that. We are continuing to do that. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks, as more vaccine arrives, it will go in a much more population health-based model. That's what we've been advocating for, sharing that we have higher prevalence of COVID, higher volumes of admitted patients, higher volumes of critical patients. So when you hear these stories, and I'm saying this not to chastise, we're learning as we go. The government's learning as we go. We're cutting trail, but it's that you don't so you don't think we're just sitting on vaccine or wasting it. They get 4,000 doses, we get 4,000 doses. They have 120,000 people, we have 650,000 people. We have been following the guidelines as best we can and making sure we don't waste anything, working through our populations, but they have been able to move ahead a bit faster into reaching out into their community. They have also come into our community, helped us with our long-term care homes and helped us vaccinate our retirement homes with their excess vaccine. And here's why. When the vaccine first came, it was who had the fridges that could store the vaccine. So it went to these, key areas, got the vaccine, but we are hosts of the vaccine. The vaccine is actually owned by the province. And now we're trying to redistribute it with our public health partners is where can it go? So for instance, Scarborough we have people over 80, but that's not our largest population. In fact, our larger population is in that 50 to 80 age group that we want to get to as well. So we're trying to make sure they see Scarborough for who we are. It's not a cookie cutter approach. So we have to adjust it as we go and make sure, and we have higher density housing and many of the other things I mentioned in my talk. So when you hear these things on the news, and media is what media is, and we appreciate it when it works for us and we get frustrated when it doesn't, but it's sort of part of the story. Everybody is working hard to do a great job, but we don't have we don't have the right volumes to everything. We were on 3 calls today, still advocating. We're on them regularly, almost 7 days a week. We'll continue to fight as hard as we can to get more into Scarborough. We know there's going to be thousands and thousands of more doses in the coming weeks, so we're very positive. But we are a little behind what it would appear on our 80 plus category compared to others who have the vaccine they can put out into their neighborhood. And I just want to speak to those pre-registrations too. What you didn't hear is Sunnybrook's crashed the day it started. 12,000, 16,000 people tried to get online, and then patients were frustrated and their data got lost and they're not sure where they are in the queue. And so that evening, the CEO calls together had said, we don't recommend people pre-registering. North York and Sunnybrook were advising us. We've tried it, we've started it, we got to keep going down a path, but it ain't all that grand. So we're learning from each other as we go. And I just want to assure all of you, we are 100% committed every day, 24 hours a day, to making sure we can do the very best for Scarborough.
And I think Glenn really kind of explained that really well, that we don't want to go register and have the site crash or be waiting and saying, well, I registered 3 weeks ago, what's going on? So I think it's great to get the information firsthand. So at one point, I think in Scarborough, I think in the rest of Toronto, we were seeing when people were tested, 8% of people had COVID. And we heard that Scarborough had 28%. Are we still looking at that, or has that shifted or changed at all?
Fortunately, we've dramatically come down. We're still amongst the highest. We get blended with GTA. So where it says 2.6% in the GTA, we're just hovering just below 10% now, but making huge gains, much, much better place.
Okay, excellent. So we know that especially in South Scarborough, south of the 401, where the subsidized housing is, there's an issue. Are you guys targeting the TCHC housing south of Scarborough with vaccines?
So Glenn will be able to speak to this better because she sets up the pop-up centers and the mobile centers. But what we do is we continuously assess where our hotspots are throughout Scarborough, and then we try to make sure we get to those neighborhoods as quickly as possible, and also ahead of time with education as well to try to mitigate that. But Glenn, maybe I'll let you speak to that.
No. Thank you, Liz. And Mark, to answer the question, what we've done with the testing, we would look and see what we would call hotspot, and we will go into those areas, what we call the pop-up clinics. So we've done that. And it's the same premise in terms of vaccine. That will be, once there's an adequate number of vaccine, that is, and that's why we said we'll set up over 13 mobile teams to get into those areas. One of the things we'll be looking at is to do a bit of a test in a congregate home that we know that have some high positivity in the past. So those are some of the work that we're doing. We'll continue to go into those areas that we know have been heavily hit, and we know that, you know, there's some challenges in terms of maybe just getting out to, like we said, to a mass vaccination center. So it's a combination of things we'll be doing.
So are we, as far as vaccinations go, Canada-wide, 5.5% of people have now been vaccinated, I believe, with their first vaccine. Do we know where Scarborough sits? What do we look like as far as percentage of people vaccinated? Do we know?
I don't know our exact number in Scarborough, but I can tell you we've got a lot to learn from Israel and the NHS and others, seeing Jim's comment in the chat.
Okay.
For sure. And the biggest learning is we need vaccine. We know, as Glenn presented earlier, we're very high, over 90% for our long-term care homes and retirement homes in the areas that we've targeted. We've also had incredible uptake with our staff and the long-term care home, retirement home staff, which is great. And we, you know, while there is some vaccine confidence, vaccine hesitancy, we're actually having better uptake than some other of our colleagues, our neighboring communities. And I think it is because of, and I think it's Pashmina, we are doing a lot of community outreach. Any ideas of things we can do better, we're always open to those. And places we're missed or other places we should go. But I think it is because of the early work that and are continuing to do while we wait for more vaccine. We are ready to go. Glenn showed you the pictures of the vaccination centers. They give us the vaccine hits the tarmac. We've got 500 docs ready to stick needles in arms. We're ready to go.
Okay. And I noticed you're reading the question, so just feel free. I'm going to take you away from the vaccine for just a sec, and we can come back and ask some more questions. So we know that some of our SHN funding is based on our population count, and we know the Scarborough population that we say is 650,000. We actually think is closer maybe to 800,000, and I'm not talking about your catchment area. I'm talking about an actual Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get the government to recognize those higher numbers that we can't prove?
Yeah, that's always a challenge, and it's something that we routinely mention in our budgeting and planning process. We know in areas like Scarborough, Brampton, others, we know that there's multi-generational households and unaccounted for residents and citizens. And so we try to address that factor as best we can. I think it is well known throughout and where, and we just, you know, we're just constantly trying to adjust accordingly to make sure that that is accounted for. It is a tough one.
We just want to help. We just want to know what we
Yeah.
can do. Is there anything we can do to help? I mean, it's one of the reasons we're all here too, is to learn and to become your spokespeople out on the street, right? So
yeah, no, that's great. And continue to advocate for that and speaking up for it and continuing to, you know, I think we have a responsibility to let community groups know, helping the government make it feel safer for people to be recognized that they are here and accounted for how we do that.
okay.
Mitzi probably have better ideas for how we could do that. She's closer to those political processes. I'm not a very political person.
You don't have to be.
I just advocate.
Yeah. How are you managing to cope with the mental health issues caused by COVID?
Yeah, that is an ongoing challenge for sure. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Lan Fischler, who's our chief and medical director, with our team, really working both internally and externally with the whole mental health and wellness program as best we can. We survey internally our staff every 2 weeks with self-surveys that can go directly to the resources and identifying who they should reach out to. We can tell the severity. We have employee assistance programs, et cetera. But for our community, we're trying to make sure we have outreach programs, There are stuff on our website that people can access. We're going out into the community. David could speak to some of that, but it is an ongoing and very, very real challenge that all of us need to keep highlighting, keep in front of us, and keep advocating for more resources, especially if, in particular, us right now, looking at going into an extended lockdown. I think people are ready to, they just can't take it anymore. Over 100 days of lockdown. So David, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would just add one aspect of it that SHN has been really focusing on is mental health and wellness for our staff and our physicians in the hospital. Dr. Fischler, who's the head of the psychiatry department, has been doing a number of mental health check-ins. We do wellness check-ins. We do wellness rounds with our staff. One thing that we know that's really been hitting a lot of healthcare workers across North America and the world is a real burnout that they're experiencing right now. And one of the priorities for us has really been to try and support our staff so that they're there, you know, both physically well and mentally well to support the residents of Scarborough.
Great. So here's another question. So in 2015, this is not a COVID question. This is in 2015, we had the provincial expert panel do a recommendation for possibly a new hospital in Scarborough. I'm sure with COVID, it's on the back burner, but we're going to come out of COVID and we still need that new hospital. Can you tell me anything, or can you give us any kind of an update on what's happening there?
Absolutely.
Or is it just on a back burner?
No, nothing goes on our back burner, not that important. So we've been continuing to advocate a meeting with the Capital Branch to keep moving that through. And if anything, COVID has highlighted more than ever the need for a new hospital. Our hospitals are not designed. We don't have the isolation. We don't have the heating, ventilation, air conditioning to support the kinds of things that a pandemic puts upon us. And so that is another reason we've been hit particularly hard. And please advocate a way for expediting approval of our new hospitals. You know, at any given point in time, we would have upwards of 200, 250 beds closed on our units, either due to outbreak or because we had so many 4-bed units and 3 and 2-bed units that we had to meet the new regulations of not having those because you can't share the rooms. So we would have 4 bedrooms as 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms as 1 bedrooms, depending on, you know, how we could cohort or manage patients. It just showed so many cracks. So we've been actually using that as a bit of a silver lining to expedite and push forward even further and faster the need for them to make these approvals go faster. The approval process for a capital project is 8 stages, and the government can make it move as quick. I call it an accordion. It can take as long as you want it, or they can move it pretty quickly. We're trying to get that to move faster. We have moved into stage 1 of our master plan, which is great. It's been recognized, and we're working with the ministries and going through their questions and adjustments to keep moving it forward. So it's not forgotten, not sitting on the back burner for us at all. We'll be continuing to push even harder. We're just working on a government relations strategy. David's working on that with us to get in front of the Premier to highlight all of the differences of what happened so far with COVID compared to our hospital partners because of the lack of investment. Again, highlighting admissions, deaths, outbreaks on units, et cetera, and why they need to, it's time to invest more and faster in Scarborough. Important question, and advocate away, please. And that's what you'll see on our campaign.
We're an advocacy group, so you know that SHN is on our list, and we just need to know what are we advocating for, and when and why, and where do we give you the most support. And I'm just going to ask.
Hospital is huge.
Yeah. I'll just give a couple more questions. We heard the Premier say that he would work with SHN to make up for the fact that heavy duty donors were all downtown. Have they done anything about that promise? And
I would say absolutely.
Nancy's nodding.
Yeah. I would say absolutely, and continuing to. I think we have an incredible campaign cabinet with incredible leaders on it. We have George Cope, the former president of Bell. We have Michael Freesdale, who's the president of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. We have Ted Rogers, who's the president of the Rogers Company, and Mayor Tory is an honorary campaign member as well. So huge advocacy. And again, in this year alone, and Ryan Bailey here is our new vice president with the foundation. He can maybe speak to it a little bit too, but we have never had such incredible pledging to Scarborough in over a decade, and we're close to $50 million on our campaign. And just in the last couple of weeks, another several million coming through the door most recently. And these are, not public announcements yet, but most recently from the, for our mental health program, another $1 million. So we're getting great support from a great foundation team who is just out there pounding the I don't know how they're managing to raise so much resource during a pandemic, but they're just doing a phenomenal job. Ryan, do you want to say anything?
Liz, I actually think Alicia's online also.
Yeah, Alicia is on.
Alicia's there. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I saw
Well,
the picture. I
I'll let
didn't see
Alicia
it.
speak over Ryan. That's his boss.
That's right. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. And I'm sorry, I keep getting booted out. My internet's not stable tonight, so I didn't hear the whole conversation that just happened. So it might make sense for Ryan actually to make a comment, and I might jump in.
Sure, yeah. And so Liz was just speaking, Alicia, to the impact of the campaign and the fundraising that has been generated through the community in the last, say, year or so. And I would add, before I hand it over to Alicia, that I've actually, there's a few folks on the call that I've asked to join me for a call next week to talk a little bit about our upcoming campaign. I don't know if Alicia wants to tease it or not, but there will be more coming in the coming weeks and months as well. Alicia?
Great. Thank you. Well, I'll just say that we've been working hard. I joined just over a year ago, and we've been working hard on our fundraising campaign. You may know that we have a goal of 100 million. And since last fall, we've actually been really active in our major gift asks, and we've gotten to 46 million in pledges to the campaign. Michael Freesdale, President and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, is our campaign chair. And we also have Edward Rogers, George Cope, and Mayor John Tory as our honorary chairs, as well as a full cabinet with representatives from all of the banks and many other major businesses in Toronto. And we have a committee of our board that's working with donors and businesses in Scarborough. So we've got great momentum on our campaign. And one of the things that we have planned, and which Ryan alluded to, is a marketing campaign for Scarborough Health Network Foundation and our fundraising. And so we're going to be launching that in the fall in media. We're looking to get significant donated media for this. And Ogilvy, the advertising agency Ogilvy, has donated their creative services for us. So we're just at the end of the creative development phase. And what Ryan is planning to do is just a little bit of sort of market testing of the creative concept with a few of you. We want to just make sure that our messaging hits the right note before we go into production on the campaign. So we look forward to hearing any comments that this small focus group will offer to Ryan. And then we're going to be moving into production and with the view to launching the campaign in the fall. And then we're going to have some events that roll out over the coming year as we make more progress on the campaign. But we're doing extremely well, and we're so grateful to have great leadership, great volunteer leadership on our campaign, and wonderful support from the Scarborough community, but also from the downtown business community and from major philanthropists in Toronto. And we'll be announcing some of those gifts as we go forward.
Okay, so I'm going to cut it off there. There are a few more questions in the chat. Liz, maybe we could send them to David and you could address them one-on-one with, is that okay? And I just want to say, Liz, David, Ryan, Alicia, thank you so much for taking the time. We really, really appreciate it. We hear lots of stuff. And Glenn, sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to forget you. We hear lots of things every day about COVID, about vaccines. It's just really nice to hear from you exactly what's going on in Scarborough. Just remember, you have a great Scarborough community behind you to help you. We just need to know where and how we can help.
Thanks so
And
much.
You're very welcome. And with that, just a reminder, if you're not a member of the Scarborough Community Renewal Organization, we'd love you to join us. All our memberships have been suspended for this year, so you can join now. It won't cost you anything. And our next Our Scarborough is happening on March 18th, and we'll highlight one of our speakers will be Linda Kosawan from the Scarborough Women's Center. And our spotlight speaker will be Suman Roy, of course, from Scarborough Food. From the Scarborough Food Initiative, better known maybe as Feed Scarborough. Suman's going to discuss hunger, poverty, and inequity in our communities, highlighted by COVID-19, and he'll share how a small group of neighbors came together in the middle of a pandemic and are now serving 1,000 families on a weekly basis. So it's going to be a great story. We'll hope you join us. If you can't join us, please share with your friends and neighbors. And with that, I'll say thank you all on behalf of our board of directors.
Thank you. Really good meeting. Excellent meeting.
Good.
Thanks, everybody. Great meeting. I hope everyone stays safe and well.
Take care.
You bet.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz.
My pleasure.
And your staff.
Thank you.